Hello, Mark Crossfield here. We've got Steve Buzza. Hello, Stephen.
Hi, guys.
Stephen's just changed his driver, which some people are noticing in the playing videos that we do. He has also been converted. This isn't an SLDR advert, by the way, but he has changed to that because they're all fed up of me hitting it past them. They hate it.
You were getting a bit close, I would.
Anyway, this video is not about that head. It is about shaft. I've done videos about shaft in the past, caused some ructions, eh? Forums at the ready. Keypads at the ready, forum writers. We're going to do another shaft flex video because Steve actually changed the shaft when he got this club, and we're going to talk about why and how shaft flex makes no difference at all, possibly. Let's get stuck in. Right, Steve. You've got SLDR driver. You've got, what shaft have you got in there by choice? You've got a tailor-made.
So that's the X.
It's the X Flex. It's 67.
It's their stock one. It's
yeah.
Fujikura.
So it's the X that turned you on. So in there was the same shaft in S, same 67 grams, 6.3 Tor spec. Are you a 6.3 as well? Is it?
Yeah, exactly the same.
Yeah.
Thing.
So it's the X to the S. So if you hit a couple. We've got GC2 HMT on the floor here. Steve has used the Titleist Pro V1 balls, which you play Titleist Pro V1s as well, actually, don't you?
I do, yes.
Yeah, so we use the ball he plays, and we've captured some shots with GC2 HMT, which we're going to look at strike, and we're going to look at how the shaft affects the data of his shots, and talk to you a bit about why he chose that shaft that he went for. Now, an X Flex over a stiff shaft, obviously, it's a good shot. Steve knows the answers here, but there was a time, I remember when you came into the shop here when you didn't work here and we had this conversation a bit, and you thought I was as mad as a brush.
I still think you're as mad as a brush.
Where you choose that shaft because it feels better for you, don't you?
Yeah, it feels, and the key word there is feels.
Yeah, absolutely. So when you use that over this one, you feel like you use words like stable?
Yes, so as is probably known with this head, it's CG is a bit different.
Low and forwards.
So it doesn't feel quite as stable, you could argue, as others on the market.
Yeah.
So changing from the driver I had beforehand.
I just had a little sneeze then. Sorry. Carry on.
So changing from the driver I had before.
I shouldn't sneeze again.
Should
Should we edit that or keep that in?
Let's keep it in there.
Yeah, so go on. Changing from you had a much more stable head in theory before, didn't you?
Yes, and again, it felt more stable. I haven't tested it. I'm not saying that it was or it wasn't. It just it felt.
Excellent. Well, look. We've hit some balls, a set of 3 shots of each. We actually hit more, but we've got 3 good comparisons in kind of trial, you know, as in you hit about 10 with each, kind of going back and forwards, but we found 3 very comparables next to each other just to show you some data of what we find, how good your feelings are or not. Yeah, let's show you some of the data. Right, Steve, so let's put your feel to test. Yeah. Okay. So it feels more stable. So feeling more stable would suggest what? I mean, just if we play devil's advocate here, the X Flex over the S, before we show you the data, people at home honestly watching, you can post comments if you want, honestly, and I know you won't, but anyway, we can try asking the question. The X Flex is going to do what over the S? What's it going to do to the spin? So you can post, I think the spin's lower or higher from X to S. So is X going to spin more or less than S? Will it launch higher or lower than an S? So an X Flex over an S. Post comments before you go to the next bit if you want to play this game properly. And what might it do to total distance? So before you were lucky enough to meet me, yeah, and work so closely with such a talent, your feelings would have been more that the X would possibly spin a little bit less, bit more distance, and might launch lower.
Yeah, I would have not argued with what the common sort of
feel was.
So absolutely. I would expect an X maybe to go a bit further.
Yeah.
Spin a little less and keep it off the left as well.
So you had the dispersion, which is back to your stable feeling, isn't it? So look, if we look at the numbers, and Steve has seen these numbers, if we look at ball speed is 1 mile an hour within each shot. So you're 167 with X, S Flex, so stiff flex 166. Your top out with, so your hardest or fastest ball speed with both sets of shafts is 168. So it's only that the strike is affecting that ball speed. It's not the shaft, as in you're topping out. You're not consistently topping that one out faster or slower than another one. It's just on the coincidence of a strike of each shot. So for me, they are almost, if not identical, subject to your performance. Now, distinct lower launch with the X Flex. to the X-Flex launching lower. So if we were fitting you, Steve, the X-Flex you would say is launching low, which is something you might be interested in, kind of windy days or things like that, what have you. Spin, the X-Flex is actually spinning at 3,100 res, where the stiff is spinning at 2.9. So pretty much identical spin again. I mean, we're talking under, well, it's just over 100 revs different, like by, well, it's 101 revs different. It's like 100 revs different, it's nothing. Where again, you would imagine, and people I'm sure would think that the X-Flex is going to spin less than the stiff. Distance, 280 with the stiff, 178 with the X. Dispersion, 0.5 left with the S, 2 right with the extra stiff. So really, I mean, if you look at those numbers, you're as straight with either, and you're almost as offline with either, subject to your performance. Yes. Offlineness coming to flex is something I would never really look at that much. I have heard studies and the ping fitters say that their experience, going back to Solheim Karsten said this years ago, when you give people stiffer shafts, often, stiffer and heavier I think they said, they often hit them straighter. They don't know why, they just often do, which is quite an interesting thing they told me once. So if you look at those numbers, the biggest thing that's different really there is that launch angle. So why is that launch angle lower? If you've gone, you hit another one there, why is that launch angle lower? I've not shown you the other, I've just shown you those. Why would you think that launch angle might be lower with the S, with the X over the S?
Well, I know the answer because I've
seen
the data. It's where it's coming off the face.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the strike. The strike.
And it's not, so it's in the same setting.
Yeah.
Well, we haven't changed the setting.
Yeah, the loft's the same. You're using 10.5. We're just switching the shaft in and out. The slider's on the right, on the same place. So going from an X to an S. Yeah. Your strike, so the 3 with the S are distinctly higher than 3 with the X. So you're using more loft of that club, basically.
Yeah, so it's understanding this is set at 10.5, but the 10.5 is measured from the centre.
Absolutely.
So there's more loft at the top, lower at the bottom.
Absolutely, and then you've obviously got your dynamic delivery. You've also got as well, if you hit higher up that face, even though you might deliver X number, it might exit in a different place as the face moves, as is similar to a video I posted today in a forum. So it's interesting, from X to S there, Steve can use whatever shaft he wants. It doesn't matter, which goes back to my original post I did years ago. So that's what makes me say shaft flex doesn't matter. But Steve feels more comfortable using the X flex.
So the X gives me a more stable feel.
Yeah.
I mean, the data argues that it's having no effect.
Well, it proves it has no effect. But why would you work against your feel? Your feel is factual to you.
Yes, and this video as well, it's not really, you can't argue if this has an effect or not, because my performance, that variability is far greater than the shaft variability.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said in the other videos, if you take a golf shot as 100%, I would say strike is probably accounting for 95% of what's going to happen to that shot. Distance, spin, direction, okay? Well, shaft might have 1% effect on that shot, 1%. Subject to not feeling anything. So if I blacked them all out so you couldn't tell, you couldn't really know, you had no preconceptions of feel of what one's stiffer and whatever, you would find that the shaft has a minimal effect. So you guys out there just getting so shaftoided up, it's fine, good luck, have fun, do it, and if it makes you feel better, great. But concentrating on some bigger aspects of the game, strike being one, is always going to make you a better player. The interesting thing for me as well, I mean, obviously from the launch model I use, sees strike, we see the strike there. If we didn't have the strike data there, we would be reading that data quite differently. So other systems that aren't seeing strike, so ones that maybe sit behind the ball, you got to be careful how you read that data unless you are monitoring strike, and good pros do monitor strikes, they spray the club and do things, but if there's ones out there who are not monitoring strike and you're getting fitted and using just that data that I've got there, I would say, well, the extra launches a little too low. I'd like to see you launch up near 16 degrees, which the S is. It's not the shaft doing that.
No, certainly.
It's because we know where the strike is on the face.
But we had one, didn't we, when we were testing that, I hit one with the X, it felt so much better than the stiff, when it was actually one of the worst performing shots of the cohort of data that we collected. Absolutely. And it's kind of a fitter's dream, because it means we can kind of push you in the direction.
Yeah, absolutely. That's
and
where.
feel as It has its place, doesn't it? You want to feel confident out on the course.
Feel has a massive place. Shaft flex has no relevance on within certain parameters. You can take the shaft out of extreme parameters and it can affect it. Weight has a massive effect as well. But I mean, it's something that the Callaway guys told me when I was lucky enough to go to Carlsbad. When you put X shaft on their robot, they were getting very similar data to any other shaft. Yeah. Okay. When you then put it in the hands of a human, and they feel as they pull on that shaft X, Y, and Z, they react, they do things. So the robot has no reactions, it does what it's programmed to do, so it doesn't react to any feelings of twists and torques and bends and things like that, but a human does. So shaft flex has no different, makes no difference, but it does affect feel, and feel is such a massive part of golf and life in general. You know, everything is perception if you go down to the bare bones. So an interesting one there, guys. Post comments down below. I'd love to hear what you've got to say. Thank you, Stephen, for your time and doing that with us with the 2 shafts. Steve, just change this shaft out because Steve is a secret shaftoid. I am sending him to Shaftoids Anonymous. He doesn't go every week like he should. There is a group. I'll put the number here for people who...
You were doing so well. You almost got through a whole video
without taking the mick out of your shaftoid.
I've got my sensible head on, and then
good stuff. Thanks, Steve. Thanks for watching. Post comments. I'd love to hear. I know these ones. This one will be in the forum. He said something. Thanks for watching. So if you like what's going on here, don't be afraid to subscribe to the channel. Also thumbs up the video, post comments. Love to hear what you guys got to say. Let's keep it social. The more we talk, the more we share, the easier this game will get for everybody. So if you want to find me on Facebook here, you can find me on Facebook. If you want to tweet me, find me on Twitter here as well. Just follow the links, all in the description. Come and join the show. Get active, get involved, get playing some better golf. Thanks for watching.